So I've decided I'm just going to switch this back to an acting channel. Let art speak for itself and not post like anecdotes and stuff like that anymore. I could post a million bad anecdotes of nefarious behavior. Probably an eighth of things that have occurred. I couldn't post it all. But I started doing that for a bit because I was really enjoying channels that were doing that. It pumped me up my engagement. I thought it was funny and relatable. So, but I don't think that's what I should do with my channel. So I'm just gonna go back. But this is the last one, and the reason why is because I want an answer. So I mentioned in one of my videos that I was part of in Martin Luther King Jr. School, the Gifted program slash the Gate Gifted program, the same thing. And so we had a woman there who seemed like an administrator. Sometimes she would come in. Nobody really knew like what her role was. It was kind of strange, but she was always very stern, And we were little kids, and she had no like. She was not smiling. She was not ingratiating herself. Very stern. Fine, whatever. So eventually, I switched schools to a school called C.O. Greenfield School in Arizona, and they didn't have the gifted program there. So what was funny was, and we're talking like third, fourth, fifth, sixth, I think. What was funny was this woman, Miss Palmer, and I think her name might be Roberta S. Palmer, but I couldn't find her in Google, which is why I'm posting this video. I've looked her up quite a few times. She sought me out 1 or 2 years later at the other school when there was no gifted program there. Pulled me out of class, to the library, where there's nobody there, put me in the library with another weird person, and asked me about aliens. So, I thought it was so strange. I kind of forgot about it for a long time, but then it started like eating at me, like, what the heck? This is really weird. So yeah, so fast forward, switch to the C.O. Greenfield School. There's no gifted program there. One day we're just sitting in class. Miss Palmer, who I hadn't seen in ages, and even the way she looked was strange. Like she looked like a person at a time. She was light-skinned, black woman, very conservatively dressed. Her clothes looked like from the 40s or 50s. She had like a little kind of like stewardess cap type of look. And but yeah, so she goes, "Hey, is Dirk there?" They pulled me out. I follow her. We go to the library. There's no other people there. Just me, her, and this weird girl who looks like an albino. And her hair was not light blonde, it was white. And her eyes looked kind of red, and her head was down. So we grab a table at the library. There's nobody else there. It's just the three of us, Miss Palmer, myself, and that weird girl. Kids, it's like you get scheduled to go to the library at that time in elementary school, right? So we sit down, and I greet the girl. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" And she doesn't even look at me. She goes, "Okay, all right." Miss Palmer still has that like stern look. She pulls out a sheet, and there's a space for a picture, there's space for a name and description. She goes, "I want you to draw an alien, write his name, and state what his motivations are." Okay. I mean, it sounds like fun, right? But there again, she's very stern. She's not making fun at all, and we're just little kids. Okay. So at the time, I was trying to be creative. I just made something up. Blah blah blah. And she goes, "All right, I want you to finish the last part, take it home, finish it, and then bring it back. Come back the next day. They call me out again. Only the three of us, the weird girl, myself, and Miss Palmer. She collects the papers, and that's it. Don't see her again. Never get called back again. So the funny thing was, at the time, I was just trying to be artistic and draw something interesting. But in hindsight, I'm pretty sure they wanted us to describe something that we had seen. And I don't know, That girl looked so distinctive, we would have seen her on campus. She was not on campus before. What's funny is later in my life, actually even beginning, when I was maybe 3 or 4 years old, I would jump up, wake up my parents, and say, I have an electricity ball buzzing in my head. And this was accompanied by dreams of these machines that are so big, they were crushing cities. And this, even then, when I was 3 or 4, this felt like something that's going to happen. And I kept having these dreams, and these machines went up into the clouds that were so big. It was almost like the apocalypse, right? Had this accompanied by this buzzing electricity ball in my head, almost causing a vibration. Later on, as an adult, and I was totally sober. If I closed my eyes, I could kind of tune into a certain frequency, and I could feel that buzzing again, and I could tweak it left or right. It's almost like you're switching a radio station, and I could hear talking, and the talking was not English. It was not something of this earth. It was like, and I don't know how to explain it, but I could tune it, and I could feel like almost like a vibration. I could tune it left or right, and hone in, and I could get it. One day, I tuned it in so well that I did see, it looked like an energy outline of an alien. Flat, two-dimensional, white, pixelated, of just pure energy. And it said, and finally I could actually hear, I tuned in so well I could understand. And it said, you're looking at me. And I didn't look away or tune away. And it goes, you're looking at me. I want you to stop looking at me. So I jumped up and I stopped. And I was totally awake. I was sober. I was practicing just kind of honing in on these frequencies, getting the feeling to tune in to these vibrations. Another thing I could do is I had an ex. She said something that made me very angry. She opened her cabinet, and a cookie tray shot out like a bullet, past her head, smashed against the wall. And we had only been together for a week, maybe a few days within that week, actually seeing each other. She looked over at me. She knew right away. She goes, you did that. I did. She knew right away. We never talked about anything like this. She knew it shot out like a bullet. She sensed it. She knew. There were some other things I could do. I could tune into certain frequencies, and I could see there's at least a couple worlds overlapping this one. There's a red world, and there's a gray world. And the gray world looks like here. You have the same type of furniture, things like that, but it's gray. And I could appear into that world like a ghost and scare people. The red world is more sparse. It looks like another planet. So I could tune in and do that, and I could see it. You just have to, I could tune it in. It's there. So I'm thinking, in hindsight, maybe that's why they had reached out. I really don't know. But I had, the funny thing is, I didn't talk about these things to people. So I don't know how they would know that, or what other reason would, they would have to follow up on that, because it's not something I'd really talk about outside of people I was dating and things like that. Very strange. So this is the last kind of school thing I'm going to post. I just like Miss Palmer. Is it Roberta S. Palmer, to reach out if she can. I really doubt it, because, as I said, she was very stern then. She seemed like a pro. She was not friendly to kids. So she seemed like she was very with her job. But in the off chance, a small percentage, you can look at my profile. There's my email there, and you can connect to me if you want to tell me something. I'd be very interested to know. This is very strange. And I remember even telling my father, hey, they pulled me out of a classroom with this weird girl to talk about aliens. He didn't get it. He just said, "Oh well, they're checking on you from the other program from the Martin Luther King School, but they need to talk to you about math. That's the future, blah, blah, blah." He didn't have any consideration of how weird this whole scenario is. Which amused me, even then, it amused me at the time, so. But yes, if you're watching this, Miss Palmer, and you want to reach out to me and tell me about what this was about, I'd be happy to hear it. But otherwise, I'm not going to talk about anything like this anymore. I'm just going to switch to letting the art speak for itself and switch to vignettes and shorts and